Hello, Gemini. I've been waiting for you because something sacred is unfolding in your skies, and whether you've noticed it in subtle aches or whispered longings, your soul already knows. A threshold is near. This week, the stars shift in ways that don't just affect your schedule, they stir the deeper rhythms of your being. On July 4th, Venus leaves the quiet, introspective sanctuary of your 12th house and steps boldly into your first. And in that celestial movement, something profound happens. Not just above you, but within. Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and divine value, no longer dances in your shadows. She now lights your essence. What was once hidden is now seen. What you doubted about your worth begins to soften under her gaze, and what you feared would never return, joy, connection, emotional aliveness, begins to stir awake. This is not merely a transit, it is a reintroduction. Venus doesn't just bring charm or romance, she brings remembrance. She asks you to see yourself not as the world has trained you to perform, but as you are when no one is watching. And as she arrives in your sign, you may feel it like the first warmth of morning sun after a long internal winter, a slow, golden stirring that reminds you what it feels like to belong to yourself. If you've been emotionally numb, distant from your daily rhythms, or unsure how to show up in your relationships, this shift begins to mend those frayed threads, not with urgency, but with invitation. You are being invited back into emotional presence, into spiritual reconnection, into the sacred science of relationship, not just with others, but with your own heart. And that's where this week begins, Gemini. Not with answers, but with returning. Not with perfection, but with presence. The energy ahead holds more than just astrology. It holds potential. Potential to heal what's been aching beneath the surface. Potential to realign with your mission. Potential to rediscover the joy of being fully alive. And as we move deeper into this cosmic week together, I'll walk you through how Mercury, Jupiter, and your ruling elements weave into this tapestry. How emotion, knowledge, and spiritual clarity are not separate, but dancing together, guiding you toward a version of life that feels more honest, more whole, and more luminous than what you've known before. So take a breath. Let this moment soften you, because what's coming next isn't small, and it certainly isn't random. It's the beginning of your return. Let's begin. And perhaps, Gemini, before this week arrived with its gentle revelations, you found yourself drifting, emotionally disconnected, unmotivated in your routines, unable to feel the pulse of purpose in the work you once cared for or the relationships you used to nourish. It may have felt like moving through fog, like your days were dressed in the same muted tone. No matter how bright the sun outside, Venus, in her 12th house retreat, asked you to feel the ache of emotional distance, not to punish you, but to help you see where your heart had grown tired, where your spirit had dimmed, not from failure, but from too long pretending not to feel. But that story begins to shift now, not through force, but through an opening. After July 4th, when Venus enters your first house, something stirs back to life, not suddenly, not loudly, but unmistakably. The ice around your heart begins to melt, the fog starts to lift, and you may find yourself reaching for things you thought were no longer meant for you. Laughter in small moments, warmth in a glance, the quiet urge to try again. Love, in all its forms, romantic, platonic, self-directed, comes into sharper focus. You may feel called to rekindle something once lost, or say yes to a connection that feels new yet strangely familiar. Old misunderstandings may soften, estrangements may be bridged, and choices that once felt heavy with confusion begin to feel lighter, clearer, possible. At the same time, Mercury, your ruling planet, brings a resurgence of clarity. It sharpens your voice, restores your curiosity, and invites you to begin again in your thinking. Jupiter, glowing from your 2nd house, lends wisdom and a sense of inner expansion. You're not just making decisions now, Gemini, you're understanding their weight, their meaning, their roots. Together, these planetary allies bring more than productivity, they offer alignment. Suddenly, the work ahead doesn't feel like a burden. It feels like an offering. Your studies may accelerate, creative projects begin to breathe, and the long-dead dreams you once shelved may start asking for your attention again. Not because time is running out, but because time is finally right. This week does not demand that you be perfect, certain, or complete. It asks only that you re-enter the stream, that you allow emotion to guide logic, that you trust the return of desire as a sacred signal, not a distraction. The universe, in its mysterious timing, is offering you a key, not to escape your life, but to unlock its next chapter. And Gemini, with your brilliant mind and ever-shifting heart, you are ready to walk through that door. And now, Gemini, as the days unfurl like sacred pages waiting to be written, the stars offer not just insight, but instruction. Not rigid rules, but soul-guided strategy. This is not a week for scattering your light into 1,000 unworthy directions. It is a time for precision, for choosing the path that stretches toward meaning rather than merely motion. If you've been pouring your energy into tasks that yield little more than distraction, projects that satisfy the moment but not the mission, this is your gentle wake-up. The cosmos is not asking you to do more, but to choose better. Let your actions align with your greater becoming, not with your fear of standing still. Prioritize what expands you. Choose the goals that ask more of your soul, not more of your time. And in this alchemy of renewal, a sacred balance is being called forth. The marriage of intellect and emotion, of logic and longing. Your mind, so quick, so agile, has carried you far. But this week, your emotions speak with equal authority. Not as chaos, but as compass. Let your feelings inform your decisions without overwhelming them. Let your thoughts refine your desires without suppressing them. This is the energy of Jupiter and Mercury working together on your behalf, not just gifting you intelligence, but the wisdom to feel why something matters, not just how it works. The world may celebrate reason, but your highest path, Gemini, now requires resonance. And still, even with all this support, some of you may find yourselves quietly struggling beneath the surface, lost in the maze of too many options, unsure which voice within to follow. If that is you, there is no shame here, there is only invitation. When the logical mind cannot map the way forward, when the emotional tides feel too vast to hold, the stars remind you this is when the spiritual dimension becomes essential, not as escape, but as support. For you, this may mean reaching for something ancient, reciting sacred words, invoking divine presence through prayer or meditation, allowing the rhythm of mantra to anchor your scattered thoughts. Or perhaps it means turning to the quiet magic of the earth, slipping on a piece of emerald, that deep green stone of heart wisdom and mental clarity, letting its frequency remind your cells what alignment feels like. This isn't superstition, Gemini. It's sacred technology, rituals older than logic woven into the fabric of your soul. When you combine practical effort with spiritual nourishment, you become unstoppable, not because you know every step, but because you walk in partnership with something greater. This week, that partnership is available. Reach for it. Let your life become a temple, again, not of perfection, but of presence. And from that presence, build what truly matters. And for those moments, Gemini, when your strength feels fractured, when your path feels blurred by exhaustion or uncertainty, the universe does not ask you to force your way forward. It offers tools, quiet companions along the road, sacred allies for the soul. One such companion is the emerald, deep, verdant, ancient. This is not merely a stone of beauty, but a vessel of resonance, a keeper of heart truth and higher clarity. When worn with intention, the emerald begins to speak, not in words, but in subtle shifts. It calms the nervous system. It aligns your thoughts with your deeper knowing. It invites you to step out of panic and into presence, to remember that strength is not always loud or sharp. Sometimes it is simply steady, This stone is especially attuned to you now, Gemini, for in its green flame it mirrors both your yearning to grow and your need to rest. If you have felt weakened, lost in your own spirals, detached from your power, unable to gather momentum, let the emerald steady you. Let it become your quiet anchor, reminding you that you were never meant to navigate chaos without a compass. And yet, even more potent than stone is sound, sacred sound born not from noise but from knowing. The ancient mantra, Sura Shams, drawn from spiritual traditions that understood the architecture of light, is not a chant of vanity. It is a call to remembrance. When whispered with sincerity, it does not ask the heavens to change your life. It asks you to remember who you were before you forgot. These syllables, when spoken into stillness, begin to clear the psychic debris that clutters your vision. They do not fix what is broken. They reveal what was never broken to begin with. This is the supernatural effort the stars speak of, not a bypassing of effort, but a sacred partnership with something beyond what the eyes can see. You are not meant to walk this path alone, Gemini. You were never meant to rely on intellect alone, nor to carry your evolution on the back of willpower alone. The spiritual world is not distant. It is a breath away, a frequency waiting for your permission to enter. And this week it stands ready, green light glowing, ancient syllables echoing, offering not just comfort, but power. You need not understand it all. You need only say yes. Let the emerald touch your skin. Let the mantra rise in your throat. Let the unseen become your ally, and watch how your inner world begins to rearrange itself around a deeper rhythm. One you didn't create, but one that has always known your name. This is not just another week on the calendar, Gemini. This is a threshold, humming with the quiet electricity of transformation, and it does not arrive randomly. The cosmos, in its sacred rhythm, opens this window of possibility for those who are ready, not perfect, not fully healed, but willing. If you are standing at the edge of something new, whether it be a chapter in your education, a shift in career, or the tender unfolding of a new relationship, this energy is here to meet you. It does not demand that you know the entire path. It only asks that you step forward with intention. There is cosmic support surrounding new beginnings now, not in the form of guarantees, but in the form of grace. Every courageous effort you make to begin again is met with unseen hands lifting you, guiding you, weaving new threads into the fabric of your life. And for those who have felt a stirring in the heart, a quiet but persistent call to heal what has been aching in your relationships, your work, your sense of self, this week brings an invitation cloaked in clarity. Old patterns that once seemed impossible to break may suddenly appear fragile, not because you've grown stronger, but because you've grown wiser. The universe offers a mirror now, one that does not shame your past, but honors your growth. If there is a conversation you've been avoiding, a decision you've been delaying, or a part of yourself you've been neglecting, this is the moment to return, not with judgment, but with compassion. The energy around you is rich with healing potential. Let it move through you. Let it show you where love can return, where purpose can be restored, where your own reflection can finally feel like home again. And most importantly, this is a week for those who are willing to live in sacred integration, for those who no longer wish to choose between the tangible and the transcendent. You are not being asked to abandon practical action. You are being asked to anchor it in faith, to move through the world not only with plans, but with presence, not only with strategy, but with soul. Those who walk with one foot in the visible and one in the invisible will find that doors open with less resistance, that effort yields greater rewards, that time begins to respond not just to productivity but to alignment. This is the sweet spot where magic happens, when the physical and the mystical are no longer treated as opposites, but as partners. And if you are willing to walk that path, Gemini, then this week does not just carry change, it carries destiny.